The Edo period, a time where old traditions meet the new and Japan begins to turn to the nation we know today. A time of change where society as a whole began to shift. The end of an era for the samurai class, where the way of the sword began to be replaced by the way of the gun. And this is the story of the samurai who understood this. Sakamoto Ryoma, a man who always looked toward the future. Living during the times right before the Meiji Restoration, he was an advocate for democracy, industrialization, a return to power for the imperial court, and especially an advocate for the future of weaponry. While Sakamoto was a master of the sword, as a fighter you could recognize the future was most certainly going to be filled with guns, like a Smith & Wesson No. 2 Army, a gun which was shipped over to Japan like many others from the United States before and after the American Civil War. It was a weapon he would use to famously defend himself during the Terada incident. Here's a dramatic reenactment of said defending himself. One of the main reasons he had to defend himself was due to his politics, joining the pro-imperial faction during the turmoil before the Meiji Restoration. Sakamoto made himself a target by engaging in anti-shogun activities as well as leaving his clan without permission, an act which at the time was punishable by death. This brings me to one of the most famous events of Sakamoto's life, his first assassination attempt, the Terada incident.
My guns!
Oh. Wow.
Anyway, I started blasting. Bang!
Wow.
Bang! Well, I don't see so good, so I missed. Then they ran away. I ran after them.
Okay.
Bang! Tried to shoot him in the back, but I don't want so good either. Anyway.
The story of the Terada incident begins on a night in 1866, with Sakamoto resting in his room at the Terada Inn in Kyoto with his future wife Narasaka Ryo and friend and bodyguard Miyoshi Shinzo. They were relaxing when suddenly Ryo ran into the room, warning of men coming with spears. So with the little time they had, Sakamoto and Shinzo prepared themselves for something akin to a Western last stand. Having nothing but Sakamoto's revolver and sword, and Shinzo only having a spear and his sword, they prepared for what could possibly be their last night on Earth, which went a little something like this. The fight ended as quickly as it began, with Sakamoto ringing out 2 shots hitting 2 men, while missing the 3rd shot and getting himself injured in the process. He fires off a 4th shot, unsure if it connected, and he's down to his last bullet. As during the period it was common to leave the chamber under the hammer empty to prevent an accidental discharge of the firearm. As one more spearman approached, he uses his friend Shinzo's shoulder as a mount and fires his final shot, nailing the spearman in the chest, causing him to crawl away bleeding out of his chest, which caused the rest of the spearmen to flee and regroup, giving Sakamoto and Shinzo their chance to escape out of a back door. Although Sakamoto's life was spared that night by his quick wit and quick trigger finger, he was tragically killed a year later by another group of pro-shogunate men in an inn similar to Terada, but he was overwhelmed due to their pure numbers, and he died lamenting the fact that he was caught unprepared. Although he never saw the restoration of the emperor before he died, it was the work of Sakamoto and many others like him that led to the restoration and modernization of Japan as we know it today. Today, Sakamoto is remembered fondly, having a museum and an airport named after him, namely the Sakamoto Ryoma Memorial Museum and the Koichi Ryoma Airport, as well as a bronze statue being made in his honor in his city of birth, Kochi. And with that, I just want to say thank you for listening to my video about Sakamoto Ryoma.